Okay. And everything I'm sharing with you, I knew nothing about when I was in your shoes. Okay. I will drive that point home. I knew nothing I am teaching you when I went through transition. I tripped over it. I fell through it and I had to struggle to figure it out. Okay. So don't beat yourself up. All right. Establishing your own identity, part 2. If you're going to write down a phrase or take a phrase home, this is the phrase to take. Okay, your passion, your purpose, and your why combined with your requirements are the lens you need to use to evaluate every transition decision. Okay, your passion, your purpose, and your why combined with your requirements are the lens you have to use to evaluate every transition decision. Okay, so when you're considering this job or that job, does that job align with me and my family's needs? If it doesn't, don't do it. Does this environment align with what I really want to have in my life? If it does, go ahead. If it doesn't, don't do it. Okay, and we're going to describe how to identify your passion, your purpose, your why, and your requirements. Okay, so I'm not giving this to you loaded without then teaching you how to fill in the missing pieces. All right, so understanding identity. Okay, I studied nationalism in college. My senior thesis was on the breakdown of identity. Okay, and it's interesting that God brought this back 20 years later. All right, so identity is founded at a nationalistic level on 5 categories. Okay, borders, conflict, histories and traditions, language, and the 5th element, what they call the other. Now, ironically enough, the military gives you all of these things. They establish a cohesive identity for you. There's a base boundary. There's a border. You are allowed either in the country of veteran land or not with an ID card, right? If you are, you're accepted in this family. Conflict, right? Boot camp experience, the trainings we go to, the hard times, SEER, Arctic warfare, right? Deployments, getting shot at. I mean, all the stuff we go through binds us together. It creates a common identity that says, I know what that's like. I've been there before. Histories and traditions, right? Uniforms, balls, right? Grass is no longer meant to be walked on, right? That blew me away. It was like, I got yelled at so many times. Like, I let you play it on grass. No, we admire it in the military. We don't actually play on it anymore. Only in designated areas. Okay. Like we have these things and I see the laughter going on. Like, you know what we're talking about? Because this is unique to our cultural family. In soldiers, you have like 9,000 different uniforms, depending on what color you want to be that day. I mean, it's, geez. Marines, we only have like a couple. But we all understand those things. We know what that uniform means and that uniform means. And when you walk in the room, why everybody stands up and doesn't stand up. I mean, we have all these ceremonies and traditions that go with it. Right? Language, what knife hands are, what a finger point means, right? This is one part of you screwed up. This is the whole person. Like we have these gestures and ways we talk to one another and the acronyms we use. They're common to us and they don't exist outside of the military. And then the other, everyone else who isn't veteran, who didn't serve. I mean, there's GS people and contractors that work their whole life with military and they're still not veteran. They don't get to wear that title because they weren't one of us. They were just next to us, right? They weren't born into this country of veteran land. Okay. But the problem is that the very thing that binds us together makes us harder to relate to everybody else. Okay. The very things that make us proud to be who we are and connect with one another, where I can see all of you having never met you and we will tell stories and give each other hugs and grab a beer and swear we've known each other our whole life. Why? Because vets just do that. But that very same thing makes it harder for us to adjust. Okay. And that's where we have to start working through what is that new identity. And we'll talk about that later on as well. All right, just looking at Rob's comment really quick. Referring to last slide, it just seems like such a difficult concept to adjust because we've all been doing whatever jobs we've been given. I can do that job. You will help learn by this is over using that attributes worksheet what will be a good fit. Okay, Rob, that's exactly why I put a lot of this class together. Because it is hard to understand only when you look at the outside. But we're going to laugh a little bit and we're going to talk about dating here in a minute. Okay. So the solution, right? There's 2 parts to the solution, your individual identity and your requirements, and then your professional credibility and relatability, right? You first have to figure out who you are and what do you want in life. And then you have to figure out how to connect that to the job you want to have. Okay. So we're going to start with the individual first. Who and what are you? Okay. It's not meant to be a loaded question, but when you take off the uniform, look yourself in the mirror without your badges, your medals, your accolades, your rank. Who's left? What are you? What excites you? What are you passionate about? If you could do anything, what would it be? Right? Take a minute to reflect on those things. I heard guys, oh, I got tasked into MP and I really wanted to do like PAO. But I could never lat transfer. So now I want to get into marketing, but I don't think I can do that. Well, that's your passion. Find a way to get there. The only thing stopping you is you. Yeah, some have harder roads to climb than others, depending on where you want to go, but you can do that now if you want to. Put a plan in place and action that plan. What community do you want to invest in, personally and professionally? What mission do you support? Again, because of what my company does in helping veterans have a better transition and upskilling through certifications, I love what I do, even though I'm on the sales part of the company. I coach and mentor people. This presentation is my job, whether you believe it or not. I'm impacting people's lives and making them aware of how they can make their life better. And I love what I get to do. But if I was not with PM-ProLearn, I would not be doing sales. Because I don't like doing sales. I like mentoring, coaching, and changing people's lives. Okay, so if I couldn't do that in sales, I want to go do something like that somewhere else, and I don't care what you call it. Okay. All right, tools to know yourself. I'm going to drop all of these into the chat here just because they are great. But Clifton Strengths Finder. Anyone done Clifton Strengths? Okay. Highly recommend it. Right? These are on my LinkedIn profile. It gives you your top 5 natural giftings that are either attributes of strength or can become a strength. Right? For me, my 5 are activator, maximizer, strategic, communicator, and woo. What the hell does that mean? I'm a one-man wrecking ball. That's exactly what that means. I'm going to come in, whether you give me direction or not, I'm going to run, activator. I'm going to make things better, maximizer. I like solving complex problems, thinking out of the box, strategic. I like taking complex things and communicating in ways that people can understand, communicator. And I like to build a coalition of people around me to get shit done. I'm a one-man wrecking ball. And in the right environment, I can be a lethal weapon. In the wrong environment, I'm going to go nuts. Project management was a great career field for me. I love it, but it was missing my why. Okay, Discover Your Why by Simon Sinek. It's about $60 now, I think. It's amazing, right? My why is to lead and help others, so together we can improve every situation. Right? Doing maintenance and construction didn't meet a why, right? And I will tell you, if you are not meeting your why in your current job, you need to meet your why somewhere else, or you will feel empty somehow. Okay, Simon Sinek is great. Personality, I'm an ENTJ. Any Myers-Briggs folks out there? All right, got an ENTJ in the PAO, I think. Right, I'm an extrovert. I like communicating with people. I like being around people. So knowing your personality helps you assess, is this job a good relational fit for what you're going to go into? Are you going to be able to be you and be successful in that relationship or not? Okay, and FJ, awesome. Again, so self-awareness. Right? The more you know of who you are, the more you can assess if this is going to be a good relationship or not. And I say relationship because that's what jobs are. You will spend more time at that job with the coworkers around you than you probably will do with your significant other. So you might want to assess, is this a good relational fit? Okay, before you invest all that time being there. All right, then what are your requirements? And we're going to do a full requirements map. The Word doc you guys got sent is going to break this down. Pay, location, benefits, culture, mission, purpose, community, right? Those are starts, but we're going to deep dive into requirements and what those are. All right. If you have a link to the VIA, please put that in there too, Sunny, for everybody. I've never heard of that before. All right, so defining requirements. This is where you get to participate a little bit. How would you answer the following questions? What do you want to eat? Or if I say, where do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Give me an answer.
Pizza.
Pizza. All right. That sounds good. Who else? We're getting to dinner time.
Let's get some Mexican food.
Mexican food. All right.
Let's get some sushi.
Sushi. All right. That works for me. I don't know. A little mix of sushi, pizza, and Mexican. Sounds like a cultural hors d'oeuvre right there. Maybe get some Mexican sushi. Not sure what that would look like, but hey. All right, where do you want to go on vacation? Answer this one.
Let's go to Mykonos.
Mykonos. I don't even know where the heck that is.
Vegas.
That place is amazing. I've been there.
Mykonos.
I would want to go back to Europe.
Europe. All right. We got some good answers. Question: how many of you think you're talking in requirements or solutions?
Requirements.
Probably.
I heard one requirement. Anybody else?
I think it's solution.
Isn't it a solution? That should be the solution. It's your end state.
It's the end state. Yeah, it's your solution.
Solution.
It's a solution. Not one of you told me a requirement. For food, maybe it's I want to be able to eat in less than 5 minutes, eat it one-handed while driving, not spill on myself, have it cost less than $10, and only be a 5-minute deviation from the road I'm going to be on. Or I want to be in a Mexican environment with good music to sit and have somebody sit there with music in the background and lighting so I can sit in a relaxing atmosphere to be able to socialize.
With margaritas.
With good alcohol, right? To drown my sorrows. I mean, vacation be the same thing. I want to get somewhere so I can relax, be in a remote environment where I can disconnect, look at beautiful scenery, have good food, get there in some amount of time, cost some amount of money, be there with certain amounts of people, right? And maybe that's Europe, or maybe that's a mountain in West Virginia, right? Requirements are all the things that cause you to speak the solution that you all said. Okay, and how this applies to your life is when I say, what do you want to do when you leave the military? Everybody tells me a solution, and not one person can usually tell me the requirement. Okay. Do you really care what the job is called? Then why is that what you tell me you want? Requirements are those things that lead to a solution and must be quantified and prioritized with enough detail to make sure your solution actually meets your requirements. Okay? Stop looking at a job title and assume it will meet your requirements. I sent you all a Word doc that has a bunch of words on it. It has a scale of 1 to 10 and a place to write how you define that word. Okay, we're going to break that down here in a minute. Okay, how do you define your requirements? Right, you might not be able to pick an industry. Most of you are scared to death that you're going to pick the wrong industry and the wrong job title. Don't worry about it. Stop trying. Map the requirements. Just start describing what you want to do by attribute, objective, or description. Okay, but know yourself first. Know what your desires are. That frames a lot of the discussion. So using Maslow's hierarchy, most people know it, so it's a common pyramid to use, but these are ways to start thinking about job descriptors, right? Physiological needs, salary, benefits, and bonus, right? Why? So I can give myself the physiological needs that I want to have. Okay, safety needs, family location, schools for my kids, job stability, work environment, actual work risks. All right, I worked in high risk rigging, didn't bother me, I didn't mind that at all. Okay, love and belonging, work culture, interactions, community, purpose, vision, family connectedness, things like that. Esteem, right? Autonomy, bonuses, growth, authority, responsibility, acceptance, belonging. And then nirvana, self-actualization, doing something I love that aligns with my why, my strengths, and my personal and professional goals. Okay, describe these things, right? So how do you define a requirement? I was an acquisitions consultant for 5 years. If you guys wonder why I learned this in getting the government to buy the right solution. Okay, when you go in with a solution, you often buy the wrong thing. So I want the ability to do what? Lead teams, be free to think, help people, work indoors, work outdoors, be creative, have intellectual work, have physical work, travel, work in a cubicle, do analytics. I don't know. Only you all know what you want. Describe it, right? And the Word doc I sent you, right, should help characterize some of these things and start sparking thought. Okay? I got to pull it up really quick. So give me 1 second. Sorry for the delay. All right. Can you guys see my screen with the Word doc, just to make sure? You guys seeing presentation of the Word document?
Word document.
Okay. So like autonomy. How important is autonomy to you on a scale of 1 to 10? And then define the word autonomy, right? Again, you have to do this right now. You all should have been sent this Word doc printed out. I recommend going through it, right? Authority. Do you want authority? Do you want variety of work? What's your earning potential need, right? Rank them because these matter to you. And I say to define the word because I'll use a relationship one. If you might say, I'm adventurous when you're talking to a significant other. And that person says, I'm adventurous too, right? So I might define adventurous as backpacking the Himalayas and killing my own food. And the girl I'm talking to says adventurous is pumping gas without makeup on. Clearly, we define the word adventurous a little differently. But we just say the word adventurous and we never actually ask someone to validate the term. So when you see a job post and it says decision-making or problem solving, you may want to ask somebody, can you define what that is, right? Can you define problem solving? How are problems solved? What authority do I have in solving the problem or myself? Or is your definition of problem solving doing what somebody tells you to do because you really don't want an out-of-box thinker? Right? It's on you to know how you define the word and then get someone inside to validate how they define the word. Okay? And then in project management, we call this Moscow voting, right? Must have, should have, could have, won't have, right? And they use this in agile and software development. What are the must-have requirements? These are non-negotiables on the good end. If this doesn't exist, I'm not accepting it, right? Easiest second is the non-negotiables on the bad end, the won't haves. What are the things I will not tolerate in the job anymore? If you're anti-woke and that's a won't have, put that down. If you're super woke and that's a must have, put that down. I don't care which way you lean, just you know yourself. So if those are big deals to you, write them down. Now the hard part's is somewhere in the middle. Like, is this should have, like I really want it, but if it's not there, it's okay, or I better get it in a certain amount of time. Like only you know the values that these things have for you guys. So write them down, right? And then as you're going through interviews, as you're talking to people in networking, hey, I don't care what the job is called. I want a job that lets me do this. What do you call it? Okay. I believe in your mission. I know what your company does. I like what I'm seeing. Can you tell me why you work there? Can you tell me what it's like when you walk in the office? Can you tell me what the interactions are like with senior leaders? Can you tell me what it's like from the CEO down on how they communicate with you? Can you tell me what the hiring process is like? Can you tell me what promotability looks like? Can you tell me about the educational benefits? Can you describe the relationship I'm trying to walk into? Because I really don't care what you call the damn thing. I care what it's going to feel like. So back to the question earlier on how do you learn this? You learn it by knowing yourself and your requirements. Back to slide 1, your passion, your purpose, and your why combined with your requirements are the lens to evaluate transition decisions. This is what I meant by that. Okay. And this is like 6 pages long of words, right? Like, these are starters, right? On the last few pages, it just says attribute, fill it in. I don't know, let it unhinge, brainstorm out the wazoo. Don't stifle creativity, just explore this and do it with your family. Do you see me doing this? Okay. Get feedback. Any questions on this right now? Okay. Again, measure and metric. I'll use the word travel as an example and why the metric and measurement are so important. I see 25% travel and I might say that's fine with me. But if I say, is that a day, a week, a month, or a year, am I still okay with 25%? Because 25% a day is 2 hours a day. 1 week is 1 overnight every week. Per month is 1 week every month, and per year is 3 months at a time. Are you still okay with 25% if it's defined in all of those ways? Or are you only okay with it if it's defined as point A and point B? The job's only going to give you a number. They're not going to validate the definition. It's on you to learn and validate the definition. All right, rank and importance. We talked about that with Moscow voting, and then try to align locations, industries, companies, and job titles with your requirements. Okay, do exploration, soft interviews. Okay, one key attribute that everyone has to consider is stability versus maneuverability. Now, granted, I learned this in aviation. Something stable is not maneuverable. Something maneuverable is not stable. Right? Stability, as in it can be pushed on and not move very far. Or maneuverability, I can push it wherever I want. In business or in life, these are kind of diametrically opposed. Something stable is not maneuverable. Something maneuverable is not stable. Again, tank versus unicycle, or a fighter aircraft versus a cargo aircraft. I really don't want a cargo aircraft when something hits it to flip over and fall out of the sky. However, that fighter, I want to be able to flip on a dime. Okay? Just universal perspectives. Okay, as you look at jobs, if stability is really important to you and your family, go be a GS employee, right? That is the most stable job out there. You can't get fired if they wanted to, right? You're going to get paid. You're linked to the government. Bigger companies are more stable. Now, I know like Google and others out there like, oh, we fired 15,000 employees. That's like 0.5% of the workforce, if you think about it. I fire one person, I just fired 5% of my workforce. So seeing big numbers might sound scary, and realize that overall, they're still pretty stable. Big companies can handle economic changes like COVID. Boeing's, Deloitte's, your major defense contractors, they're pretty stable companies. Still not a guarantee you're going to have a life, paid and not get fired or be relieved at some point, but bigger companies are usually stable. Small companies are maneuverable. Entrepreneurship, you can do whatever the heck you want. There's no limit to what you're going to get paid, no description on how to behave or when to wake up, what to wear, but you might never get paid. Right? You have to balance out your needs. I like mid to small size companies as a veteran. Why? Because we're hiring capability, not billet. I want someone a half mile wide and a half mile deep. Right? I don't want someone an inch wide and a mile deep. Right? Why? I'm not big enough for that. I don't have that SOP even written. Right? And as an accidental entrepreneur, now business owner, I have more earning potential than I've ever thought possible, because I'm not tied to a pay grade. I'm not tied to anything. I'm tied to market and my ability to impact the market. Okay. So if you want maneuverability and you don't need the stability because you've got VA disability and a retirement check for life and your house is covered, and you want the freedom to do more fun stuff, find a small company. If you want structure, find a bigger company. Neither one is right or wrong, but I will tell you, bet on yourself. Veterans stress out about this. They don't think they have the succeed or ability to succeed in that, but we have so much capability. All right, 5Y. Anyone done 5Y out there? Some Lean Six folks, maybe. All right, so 5Y is what they call root cause analysis, right? Ask the word why 5 times. Why do I want that characteristic? Because of this. Well, why do I want that thing? Oh, because of this underlying thing. Okay, why do I want that thing? Oh, it's because of something else. Oh, why? Okay, by the time you ask the word why 5 times, you probably know the root cause. Can I use an example? Schmuckatelli's late. Why is he late? Right? NJP. Why is he late? Car broke down. Can't do maintenance on his car either. Why does car break down? Can't afford it. Can't manage finances. Why can't he afford it? Oh, because his mother-in-law moved in with him and he's trying to take care of her and he can't afford that. Oh, shit. Right? I might see the symptom and jump on the symptom without knowing the root cause. Right? We do that to ourselves too. I may be jumping after a solution, thinking I'm solving the requirement without actually understanding the requirement. Just ask why. Why is that so important to me? Okay? It's a very simple yet very powerful drill. All right, your individual worth and value are not based on your title, the company, or your salary. Your worth and value are because you are you, and that's how God made you. Okay? We chase value like job titles because in the military, your value is tied to your rank. Your pay is tied to your rank. Your self-esteem is tied to your rank in a lot of cases. Okay? Because that's how the family environment works. It's not the case outside the family. Right? I heard a very powerful story from a friend. He was a colonel, retired in DC, got the next promotion you're supposed to get as a colonel of 30 years to be a program manager in the Beltway. And 6 months later, he hated his life, making tons of money. And he had the realization that he just didn't want to be responsible for anybody anymore. I spent 30 years with the buck stopping with me, on call 24/7, on duty, on the weekend, stressed out. He's like, I'm just done. I don't want to be responsible for anybody but me. His kids are out of the house. He became an over-the-road trucker. And he and his wife love it. He's like, I'm responsible for me and the open road. I go haul when I want. I pick up the jobs I want. I don't need to pay. And I love my life. But when you go back to that reunion, you get to tell everybody you're a trucker, right? I mean, nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't sound so cool. I can't say I'm a program manager of this multi-billion-dollar program. What do you do? I'm a trucker. But I'm happy and you're not. So who's the loser now? Right? So we have to get over that stigma about titles and pay and authority, thinking it matters to our value. Our value is not tied to anything outside of ourselves. Okay? And you have to let that sink in as you start thinking about your next career.